Good evening, folks. Freddie Vasquez here with Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Friday.
Hi, Dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.
Good evening, folks. Freddie Vasquez here with Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. TGIF, right? I want to talk about a few things. Let's recap the week. A lot of stuff happening here in the city of Yonkers. I want to show this first, though. This is unfortunate. Now, this was posted in the Yonkers Voice. Someone sent it there, and they said that this man was pleasuring himself. This is in the Riverfront Library. And I don't know. I mean, listen, maybe he had an itch he had to scratch. But that's crazy. I mean, there are a lot of kids there. Families go there. I know we would take our kids there, as well as kids from the daycare after school program there and summer program there. So, I mean, you got to watch out for that stuff. It's crazy to see something like that. Imagine you're there. But I don't know. Was he scratching or was he playing pocket pool, as they used to say back in the day? Moving on, woman is suing the Yonkers police over an incident that happened near McDonald's on South Broadway. Apparently, this woman was called by her daughter, who was scared because there was a gang of kids that were going to beat her daughter up. So her mom advised her to go inside the McDonald's and then immediately shot off to the McDonald's to go pick her daughter up. And when she got there, she went inside, got her daughter out, and this group of individuals began jumping on the daughter and the mom. And so when police got there, I guess police don't know what's going on. Maybe they're trying to break things up, but apparently the woman who's suing says that she was trying to protect her daughter when police grabbed her and slammed her on the floor. Now, there was an incident like this not that long ago, several years back. And I have since spoken with the officer involved in that incident where there was a woman in a bar and something happened. The officer picked her up, slammed her on the floor. The woman sued. It was caught on video. Well, in this incident, the mom is saying that they also have a video of the attack or the assault by the police officer. And the only one that's been named so far is Sergeant Patrick Breen, who happens to be the son of council member Mike Breen. And he, along with other officers, are named in this suit. Yonkers' mother, Raquel Santos, claims police assaulted her during an incident in March 2023 when an officer slammed her to the pavement as she was protecting her daughter from a gang assault. Police arrived then on the scene. Officers attempted to secure the situation and grab Santos. By her account, an officer lifted her off the ground and threw her forcefully to the ground. This body slam to the pavement left Santos unconscious and bleeding from her head. Her limp hands were then cuffed by the police before an ambulance arrived to rush her to St. Joseph's Hospital. Doctors mended Santos' head wound with 2 staples before she ultimately filed a police report about the incident from her hospital bed. The teenage J.A. was also handcuffed, that's her daughter, but only suffered minor injuries from the encounter. Neither her nor her mother were charged with any crime. In a 14-page filing, Raquel Santos demands a jury trial against the city of Yonkers, YPD Sergeant Patrick Breen, and 10 other unnamed officers. The enumerated causes of action read as familiar list to most police excessive force complaints. They include assault and battery, violation due process, unlawful search and seizure, deprivation of liberty, as well as accusations of negligence of her safety, failure to intervene, and negligent training on the part of the YPD. While the lawsuit seeks monetary damages for the physical and mental injuries to both her and her daughter, no exact figure appears stated in the lawsuit. Given the extent of the injuries, a settlement upwards of 6 figures seems likely. And so, the Yonkers police, and although it has gotten better, and I've spoken about that with Anthony DiMaggio of the improvements, from many, many years ago, improvements, which started under former police commissioner Chucky Garner. We have seen improvements. However, there have still been a lot of lawsuits filed against the police. And I'm not saying that every officer is guilty of, the complaints that are levied against them in the lawsuits, and that every officer is out there to beat people up. Not saying that, but there have been some instances where they were legitimate lawsuits, officers getting a little bit out of hand and too aggressive, injuring people. Not that long ago, maybe about 2 years ago, NPR came to Yonkers out of Chicago and actually did a report. And they actually even reached out to me about it, but they never mentioned me in any articles. But I did speak with them, and they were here to do an article, a report on the lawsuits that the Yonkers police had. Many lawsuits, and many you may remember years ago, the DOJ was in Yonkers and looking to take over the police department because of police brutality cases and lawsuits. So I don't know what's going on here. I'm not saying Patrick Breen did anything. I did put a post, and the post just stated an experience that I had where an individual who was identified as Patrick Breen by individuals that were with me that day made an attempt, or tried to make it appear like they were going to hit me with their SUV, and I guess in an attempt to scare me at a fundraiser that they were having for Mike Breen. So, listen, that just behavior like that is, signs of aggression. I mean, if you're an officer, you shouldn't be behaving like that, and if you are willing to do something like that to someone, pretend like you're going to hit them with your vehicle as they're standing there. I mean, what else are you willing to do? That's all I'm saying. But I didn't say that he's guilty of it. I didn't say that he did this. I don't know. They do have video, and we'll just have to see how it plays out. So to Ron, I wasn't accusing him. Remember Tasha Diaz, the majority leader, and her comments? She's been making headlines everywhere, not just in major publications here in the United States, but also across the pond in the United Kingdom. They're talking about the majority leader of the Yonkers City Council who made deadly, violent threats to a fellow council member. But not only did she make threats to slit that bee's throat or threats to slap the taste out of her effing mouth, she's also been recorded talking about her wardrobe. Diaz trashes Pineda Isaac's clothing in a recording describing her attire as a effing old navy grandma dress before adding $10 dress. Go take that ish back. I mean, this is coming from a woman who currently lives in affordable housing, who's never had a job prior to becoming a councilwoman. But all of a sudden, she is the queen of the city of Yonkers. She's rocking a lot of gold, chains, wearing designer clothing. Meanwhile, she's out there with food distributions for people who have food insecurities, with her designer sunglasses on. She really thinks of herself as, something really special. She thinks very highly of herself, and she does look down on other people considering where she comes from. Remember, she called people beggars. Beggars, the very people that she prides herself on helping. But that night at the council meeting, she obviously let the real Tasha Diaz come out, the gangster boo, the slit your throat boo, the slap the taste out your mouth Tasha Diaz. And she called constituents beggars. Beggars. So she obviously thinks she's better than other people. But Tasha, let me tell you, girl, they don't think highly of you. Those people you think are your friends, those big ballers that you want to hang around, the ones that you spend the $2,000 of taxpayer money for chocolates on, they don't think highly of you. They look down on you. They think you're a fool. I mean, look at how you dress and look at how they dress. You're like the only rapper in the room. And I know for a fact that they regard to some of you folks as peasants. You're a puppet to them. They manipulate you. The reason they put you there is because it's easy to influence you. And you are all about money, right? You want to look fly. And that's easy. Give you a few bucks and you do as they say. And you get away with a lot because of the information that you know. I mean, I heard from several sources that you once threatened if you were ever arrested that you were going to bring everybody down with you. And I have no doubt you would. And they have no doubt you would also. And that's why they allow you to talk to people like that and get away with it. She said to John Rubel that she was going to F him up. She's cursed out commissioners here in the city of Yonkers. She tried to embarrass Sam Borelli, even though he probably deserved it, in a live meeting when she accused him of mistreating women and said, I hope that's not what's happening here, Sammy, before asking him to get a la carte treatment when it comes to the building department and her needs, whatever they may be. That's probably not her needs, but the needs of those who fund her benefactor, real estate guys that are looking for favors here in the city of Yonkers. Like this gentleman here, Eugene F. Conroy. Why is he donated to Tasha Diaz? Does he live in District 3? I don't think so. Here he's donated $2,000, another $1,000, another $1,000, $2,000 most recently in February of 2023. So why would he be donating so much money to a councilwoman from the 3rd District here in the city of Yonkers? What's his interest? That's an investment. Well, he's a real estate investor. And so is he doing deals here in the city of Yonkers, and is Tasha Diaz helping to facilitate those deals? And in return, he donates money to her. I mean, it's not like $100 here. It's not $50. And he doesn't live in the district. She's supposed to represent those who live in District 3. So how is Tasha Diaz really making her money, right? Trying to look fly and wear designer shoes. I mean, this is a guy who donates to big names. So here he is. He's a community management corp. And it's all about housing and management, real estate. And these are the people he's donated to. Republican Federal Campaign Committee, but he also donates to a Democrat like Tasha Diaz. New York State Conservative Party, Lazio, 2000, a Republican. So, I mean, is she the only Democrat? So, we have to, I point that out because it's important to understand why our council members vote the way they vote, why they may introduce the legislation that they introduce, who they really represent. And it's the funders. Those are the people they give their time to. You think you can get 5-10 minutes with any of the elected officials in their office? It's a difficult thing. But if you donate $1,000, $5,000, you get an hour or so with them at various fundraisers and events. And what do you think they're doing when they're there? What do you think they're talking about? I just donated $2,000 to you. You think I want to sit here and talk about slitting people's throats or slapping the taste out of people's mouths? No, Tasha. I want to talk about how I can get this property in your district that currently has a business on it and they don't want to sell. How can you help me? Or I need to get this property over here because it's good price and it's a good place to put a 20-story building there. However, the problem is I can only do 5 stories because of the zoning law. Can you help me with that? And that's what goes on. It's real estate racket. It's a hustle. It's a hustle for her. She makes it obvious. She makes, no bones about that. It's a hustle for her. That's how she makes her money and still maintains her affordable housing apartment. I'm sure she probably has some real estate stashed somewhere under someone else's name. But what's going to be done about it? No one has spoken out about this. And I did make a comment in a post by the mayor's official Facebook page. And I had a few people say, what does this have to do with the guy Patrick becoming the commissioner once again? Absolutely nothing. Obviously, if you read it, has to do with Tasha Diaz. The point is, when are we going to get a chance to speak on it? When are we going to be able to ask other elected officials what's going to happen with this? This is concerning. This is not one incident. It's not just with one person. It's not just about her violent threats and her comments, but also how she conducts herself as a representative District 3 council member, the things that she's voting on, the things she's trying to get introduced, or the contract she's trying to award to people. It's a lot of things that are wrong here that need to be investigated. So when is there going to be one? We want to feel confident in our government. We don't want to all believe it's corrupt, right? Because that's pretty much what most of us think. And that's just the truth. And so if they're not going to create a post about it or have some kind of dialogue, we have to bring the dialogue to them. We can't just sit back and hope that they speak on it, wait idly by, because that's what they're banking on. It's going to blow over. Nobody's going to care. She's going to continue to be the majority leader. But what precedence is that going to set? I can threaten people, scare people. What if she's scaring them into voting the way she wants them to? How do we know that some of the people are not voting because they fear Tasha Diaz? They don't want to get their throat slit. They don't want to get effed up. They don't want to get the taste slapped out of their mouth if they go against Tasha at a vote or in a meeting. That's a problem, and it needs to be addressed. And it could lead to bigger things. There's been instances where council members have been gunned down. A New York City councilman was killed inside City Hall yesterday afternoon by a political opponent who accompanied him to a council meeting, pulled out a pistol, and shot him in front of scores of stunned lawmakers and onlookers, officials said. It's obvious that Tasha Diaz is not mentally stable or emotionally stable. And so could this lead to something more deadly? And if she does get upset one day, pulls out a knife and actually cuts someone, then what? The warnings were there, yet nothing was done. They say only the governor can recuse her or remove her. Okay, but she can have her majority leader title removed. That can be a punishment to show that, hey, we're not going to tolerate or accept this within our city council. We want everyone to feel safe, regardless of what they believe politically, regardless of what party they're on. And what does that send a message to the people of the city of Yonkers? Council members, elected officials can get away with threatening people. They can get away with being violent, aggressive, unruly, disturbing the peace, and nothing happened but promotions and raises for them, right? That won't happen for us. So, it's important that we talk about it. So if they're not going to bring it up, then we must bring it up. We have to continue to speak on this and say, no, this is not okay. We're not going to accept this. What's going on with this woman here? There's a lot that we don't like. And something needs to be investigated. Someone has to come in and say, hey, let's see what's going on here. I mean, she's exposing the chaotic environment that the council is, and even a lot of the corruption that occurs within there. No statement from our dishonorable mayor, even though it's all in the papers. Yeah, it's all over the papers, not just nationally, but internationally. The New York Post has done several articles now. The Drudge Report, the Metro UK, News 12, Lower HUD, the Yonkers Ledger. Shout out to them for breaking the story. But anything from the Yonkers Rising, the city's official newspaper? Well, one unofficial newspaper is having to deal with comments from angry residents after posting a video of a woman, or is it a man? I'm not even sure, who was sitting on a ledge contemplating whether or not to commit suicide. So Yonkers police officer, once again, shout out to you guys. Is there a mental health crisis going on? This has happened several times now. Do you remember the guy that wanted to jump off the ledge there onto I-87? And police officers quickly caught him and pulled him over? Well, once again, Yonkers police doing a great job getting someone off the ledge. but a video of the incident was shared on the Yonkers Voice, and it apparently showed who the person was. So many people were upset about it. They were upset because this was this person's most vulnerable, emotional moment in their life, a breakdown that they're having mentally, and it should not be made public. I just want to show you the video, and then we'll talk more about it.
My friend, I'm worried about her. She went on the roof to hurt herself.
Respond between Babcock Place and Willow Place on the roof, advising she was going to hurt herself.
We're here to help. We're here to make sure you're going to be okay. We don't want you doing something you don't want to do. Okay? We can talk about it. We can make things better. 100%. I know. It's tough. But we're here because we care. And we don't want you there. We don't want you sitting on that ledge. Give me the cup. Give me the cup. We'll put coffee in. All I want is the cup. We're going to give you fresh coffee. All I want is the cup. Fresh coffee. Please. It's going to be okay. We're here to...
So again, great job by Yonkers police. I have a lot of respect for the police, regardless of what, some of my posts may be, so just got to put that out there. I have a lot of respect for you guys. You guys work very hard, so thank you for that. There are a lot of great police officers out there, especially the young ones. But people are upset. People are upset because the Yonkers Voice posted the video showing the person, identifying who it was, certain things should not be made public. Certain things should be kept private. We don't know what this could do for the person, right? To the person. What if this triggers them later on? They see this on social media, right? Or they see that their face was on social media showing them in a state where they were having this mental breakdown and almost took their life. And that causes them to have another emotional breakdown and repeat that incident. You got to think about it. I know he wants to make his money. He makes his money through views. That little bit of money he makes, is he giving anyone some of that money, any of the victims that he puts on his videos? One woman says, instead of constantly defending yourself, and here in these comments, why don't you for a minute open yourself up to criticism and just admit that maybe it's very invasive to post this? It's so important to raise awareness, as you said, but it's also important to protect the peace and privacy and mental health of the person in this video. She is one of the people you're trying to advocate for by raising awareness, but posting this might harm her. People online can be cruel and may say things about her that make her mental health condition worse, what I just said. Or people she knows might see this, making it harder for her to recover. Do you truly not see that? Because your mentality doesn't make it seem like you're trying to advocate. It makes it seem like you care about views and likes. And that's exactly what he cares about, because in one comment, he says that it seems like the people here have mental health issues. You need to go, or he tells one person, you have a mental health issue. Maybe you need to go and see somebody right away. So he's trying to insult somebody by stating that they have a mental health issue. That's like trying to insult somebody by calling them gay. It's not an insult. You're insulting an entire group of people. But this man is very insensitive. And again, you know how I feel about him. Folks, I wanted to go over real quick the city of Yonkers budget and what the New York State Comptroller had to say about the city's budget. They say the same thing every year. They say the same thing every year, pretty much. Dear Mayor Spano and the city council members. By the way, many people don't know exactly, what it is that the council members are there to do. What is the council members' role, right? Well, their primary role is to get a budget together and pass it. So that way the city can operate, move forward, right? That's their main primary role. Nowhere in their job description does it say they are to be out there at food pantries or food distribution lines. It doesn't talk about going to ribbon cuttings and, other political events and fundraisers. Doesn't say anything of that nature. They are to pass a budget and they are to have weekly meetings in which they are to discuss what's going on in the city. They are to address any issues that need to be addressed. And they need to be working for the people. They are the check and balance. The mayor presents a budget. They review it. They work together to get it passed. They're supposed to represent the people directly. But that's not what they've been doing recently, right? A lot of what we see them do is vote on zoning changes. That's primarily what they've been voting on. A lot of what they've been discussing in council meeting have been developments. Regardless of how people feel, everything gets approved. Yes, 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 right? And they've introduced certain legislation, like legislation to extend the term limit. They introduced legislation or whatever to give themselves raises. Mike Breen introduced that legislation that brought in Sam Borelli to the building department. Remember, where he, for whatever reason, thought it was a great idea that the building department commissioner should be, just anybody. Should be anyone. We should open it up to anybody. Doesn't matter what your experience is, right? He reduced the requirement of the building department commissioner. That was his legislation. What about any legislation to help with, rent control? People's rents are going up. What about legislation to go and fix these roads all over the city of Yonkers that are horrible? I can't really name any streets that are, without potholes and all kinds of construction bumps and stuff, right? Any legislation for that, right? What about our schools? They're asking people to go back up to Albany to beg, to become beggars and beg the state for more money, more money. More money. Well, maybe we need to reduce our spending. City of Yonkers has increased its spending tremendously, and our revenue intake has not kept up with it. Dear Mike Spano and City Council, by letter dated June 30th, 2023, the Office of the State Comptroller as fiscal agent for the City of Yonkers determined that the city's adopted budget for the fiscal year of 2023-2024 and the related justification documents are in material compliance with the requirements of the Fiscal Agent Act and the city's bond covenants incorporating provisions of the Act. Generally, the Act and the related bond covenants require the cities to appropriate for each cost category at least as much as was appropriated or spent in the previous 2 years, and to only anticipate receiving miscellaneous revenue in amounts no greater than the amounts received in the prior 2 years. If the city wants to appropriate less money or budget additional miscellaneous revenue, it must provide us a detailed justification supporting the proposed action. While we have determined that the 2023-2024 adopted budget materially complies with the provisions of the Act and related bond covenants, we wish to comment on the following matters which impact the city's financial condition in the current and future years. The city's 2023-2024 budget totals $1.43 billion, which includes operating and debt service funding of $733.8 million for the Yonkers Public Schools and $698.2 million for the city. The 2023-24 budget is $52.1 million more than the city's budget for 2022-2023, an increase of 3.8%. So we've increased spending by 3.8%. So again, the comptroller states the same thing every year, but it doesn't seem like the city of Yonkers listens. We previously expressed concern about the city's ongoing practice of balancing its budget by financing recurring operating expenditures with non-recurring funding sources. Basically, you can't continue to fund, let's say, salaries, which are going to be reoccurring every year, with money that you get one time from the state. And that's what the city has been doing for the past several years with the pandemic relief funds that it has received, but that money's drying out if it hasn't already. This non-reoccurring funding includes appropriated fund balance, one-time state funding, one-time federal funding, and sale of property. The city is projecting an unassigned general fund balance of $159.6 million at the end of 2023 fiscal year. The city appropriated $88.9 million, or approximately 56% of the projected fund balance, in the 2023-24 adopted budget. In addition to appropriating fund balance in the general fund, so they're moving money over, right, to general fund, money that should be kept to, as a backup, as a safety for, any unforeseen expenses. They're basically having to use their savings, right? And they keep moving their savings into the general fund. The city has appropriated $32.3 million of education fund balance, $4.9 million of water fund balance, $2.1 million of debt service fund balance, $872,103 of sewer fund balance, and $54,000 of library fund balance to the general fund, right? So they moved over that money. So they took away, saying, $3 million from the school. So this is important to go over. This might not be the fun stuff. This might not be, entertaining, but it's important. We have to understand the financial condition that our city is in. We have to read what the comptroller is saying, because he's an independent guy outside the city who's reviewing the city budget. We can't rely on O'Connor. What is it? PF O'Connor, who's the contracted auditing company here in the city of Yonkers, because they're not going to say anything negative. Otherwise, they're going to lose their contract. So we have to look at what the state comptroller is saying, because that's what's important. And so there were some other things here I wanted to read, but I don't know where I lost my place. But that's important to read. So for those folks who are interested in that, and I think we should all get familiar with this to some extent, right? I want to read this here. Sales and use tax and sales and use tax education. The 2023-24 adopted budget includes city sales and use tax, including education revenues of $122.4 million. This is $690,000 increase over the $121.8 million we project the city will receive in 2023-2024. So the city is projecting more money than what the comptroller sees the city receiving. We based our projections on 2022-2023 revenue projections and 2021-2022 actual. So again, basing it on the past 2 years. The city could face a shortfall in revenue of approximately $690,000 if revenue estimates are not realized. So the comptroller is projecting one thing, the city's projecting another. The comptroller is saying, no, it looks like you guys are going to be short almost $700,000 in sales use tax and sales use tax for education, right? So he says that a few times here. So who's doing the budgeting here? The 2023-2024 adopted budget includes city income tax surcharge revenues of $64.8 million. This is a $3.9 million increase over the $60.9 million we projected the city will receive in revenue for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. We based our projection on a 3.9% decrease. So there was actual decrease last year on income tax surcharge from 2022 to 2023 projected revenue, as declines are forecasted in the New York State Executive Financial Plan. The city could face shortfalls in revenue of approximately $3.9 million, right? So they keep telling the city, same thing with mortgage tax. You guys are projecting 7.8 million. We project 6.7 million. There could be a 1.1 million shortfall when it comes to property tax. Let me see what it says there. Talks about property income tax. No, this is I lost my place. But point is that City of Yonkers seems to be thinking it's going to get more money than actually, or than the state controller is projecting. So again, the state controller is making the same complaints. You guys have to stop funding reoccurring expenses with non-reoccurring revenue, right? One-time, one-shot deals that they're getting. And this is what they're basing promotions, salary increases on, right? This is how they budget all this stuff. Well, we're going to get this money. Now, once they get the money, it's one time they fund it, but what's going to happen moving forward? Now they have to find money from somewhere else in order to cover that expense that they added because they got this one-shot deal the year before. And if they don't realize their projections, then we're going to actually be, losing money. And right now, the city currently is carrying almost $3 billion deficit. And this year, the budget ended with less money than last year, right? There was less in the reserve. So I believe last year was over $100 million. This year was, once they balanced the budget, it was in the plus by 50 something million dollars. I believe $51 million. But technically, the city has debt that it's carrying of almost $3 billion. So that 51 million that's left over would not do anything towards the debt that the city has. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics. Oh, you know, I wanted to show. Did you guys hear about really quick about the officers that were beat up by the migrants? Where did that go? This is crazy right here, man. And then he has the nerve to walk out of the jail, flipping the cameras off, saying, I don't speak no English. I don't speak no English. He's one of the individuals that beat up 2 NYPD officers, and then they were released right away. They didn't have to post any bail, thanks to bail reform. And then they walked right over to their shelter that's being provided by the taxpayers, the American taxpayers here in the city, state, country. Now Hochul steps up, call to deport migrants busted in cop beating caught on video. Get them all and send them back. Well, that's not what they did. They sent them back to their shelter, but they didn't send them back to their country. And what example does that set again? Now they're all going to be willing to jump the police, because look at what happened to these guys when they did it. They got let out and they walked to the shelter, flipping the cameras off. Like, the whole NYPD should shut down and say, until those individuals are deported, we're not working anymore, because it puts all of them in danger now. All of them in danger. And this isn't the first incident that I've seen. I've seen plenty of videos of migrants fighting with police. Not to this extent, but they have no fear of getting physical with the police, both men and women. And I'm not anti, any race, because migrants are coming from everywhere, from China, from Russia, from South America, from Africa. Bottom line is, it's creating a horrible situation in many of our cities. California, people are complaining. People of all races, all Americans of all races, complaining about the migrants. In Chicago, in New York. Like, what is going on here? It's almost like it's intentional, right? It's got to be. You got to want to be destroying this country to allow this to happen. You have to have decided, we're gonna destroy America. First thing is we're gonna do, we're gonna open the floodgates, let everybody come in there, create this economic problems for cities, create this overcrowding problem for cities, and then cause tension between Americans and the migrants. And then there's going to be this feud. And it's just a destruction of this country. Where are we getting this money to fund the migrants' housing, food? People are being paid $100 a day to house migrants. Landlords now are emptying out their buildings to take in the migrants because the government is paying for it. I mean, where are we getting this money, right? Just print more money. Print more money. That's why we have the inflation that we have. That's the problem. And it's only going to get worse. They're going to devalue the dollar as much as possible, usher in the one world government, right? It's already started. That's what the WHO is. That's what the World Economic Forum is. That's what the United Nations is. The last country left is the United States, and they have to destroy it. And that's what this is all about. And unfortunately, folks, I believe it's only going to get worse before it seems to be getting better. And really quick, this is crazy. Corruption everywhere, man. This is Mount Vernon, the city of Mount Vernon. As you are aware, in February of 2023, the United States Attorney for the Northern District of New York began an investigation regarding the alleged mismanagement of grant funding by the district. All substantive aspects of the district's grant funding program, which are the subject of the above referenced inquiry, were facilitated under the leadership of the Superintendent of Schools for the Mount Vernon City School District, Dr. Waveline Bennett Conroy. And it is our understanding that their ongoing investigation has not been completed at this time. Prior to the commencement of the above referenced investigation, the district engaged Senrini and Associates LLP to conduct a comprehensive audit of to discern whether the district followed its purchasing and payment policies, as well as applicable federal and state regulations for the selection and monitoring of services provided by vendors. A redacted version of the report was previously made available to the community. In short, the Serini report raised significant concerns of impropriety. Their own investigation. In keeping with our fiduciary responsibility, please be assured that we have diligently pursued Sereni's findings and intend to bring you answers and an ultimate resolution. To that end, the district has retained outside counsel Aiello and Kanik, who has been charged with commencing its own investigation on behalf of the board and thereafter making appropriate recommendation to hold those responsible for any improprieties accountable for their actions. That's crazy. So there's some people in Mount Vernon School District stealing some money there to the Northern District, the United States Attorney for the Northern District. Tune into Basement Politics a little bit, why don't you? Check out some of my past podcasts. You guys got some work to do. Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics. Perfectly paved streets in Colonial Heights. Even has speed bumps. That Grand View, what is it, Grand Avenue, Grand View place or whatever? It's a beautiful road, isn't it? I love it. And they do have the speed bumps there. I love the way they put the American flags on the trees that line the street. So pretty over there. That's why it's a part-time job, regardless of what Lakeisha says. He deletes any comments that goes against him. I'm surprised you were able to see those. Well, I wasn't. Someone sent them to me, someone that watches my show and who thanked me for speaking the truth. They appreciated what I was doing, and they said that they would like to have me mention this. So I didn't mention it because I have an issue with the guy, right? Someone from the community reached out to me and they sent me the screenshots because I told them, I said, I don't have the guy's page, we're blocked. And so they sent me the screenshots and I posted them. I did edit them to, put out who that person was. But, that's why I talked about it, and again, I don't have an issue. It's not a blogger versus blogger. I could care less. I'm not, in this to be the most famous blogger or to be a celebrity or to get a lot of views so I can get a lot of stars or get money from YouTube. I do this to inform the people. If anything, I've sacrificed a lot, not just monetarily, but you guys know I've sacrificed a lot to bring you this information. And I appreciate those who support me. And I appreciate those who continue to send me information, those who continue to share the page and communicate with me, about their concerns or about things that are going on in the city. Pointing things out to me because, again, I'm not in, the internet just looking for stuff. We all do this, collectively, and I get information from different people present different, things that they like to see addressed to me. And, and I kind of go through some of that stuff and then I decide, what it is to post. Sometimes I may post things and delete them. It's because, it's a method to my madness and just try to bear with me, folks, but I promise you I'm here for the people of the city of Yonkers. And I've hoped that by now I've proven that. And yeah, that's that. Have a great weekend. Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you for watching, following, supporting. And by the way, that Tasha Diaz podcast did very well. Tasha, they love you, darling. They absolutely love you, darling. It did very, very well, Tasha. I'm nearing 1,000 views in a day, Tosh. That's good for me, because I'm a local podcast. I talk about specific information to specifically the city of Yonkers. So, for people watching, Tashi, you're a star, baby girl. You are a star.
Freddie wins.
That's right.
I want to end this quick because I'm I'm greedy and I want some of the butter chicken.
Freddie wins. Ladies and gentlemen,
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
No!
Freddie wins.
No!
Freddie wins. Fatality.